you stand with me, we'll have the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This morning, bring prayer is Pastor Matt Stafford from First Congregational Church.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today humbly, and we ask that you might bless this meeting today and that you might bless each of these commissioners with blessings on their own family and also with the wisdom that they need to make decisions on behalf of this community, this great community in which we live and we're so thankful for. We know that you are a God of holy righteousness and justice and love. And so we ask that this meeting might go not only to honor you, but to keep in mind everyone who lives in this community, in this county, and we lift them up to you at this point. And we pray these things in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it. Well, thank you for being here this morning. We appreciate that. I will make a quick comment about the agenda this morning. I was kind of confused myself. It said 9 o'clock, and yet the meeting had been changed to 9:30. So if you did come early, we apologize for that, but we're glad you're here. I kept asking Randy, we had another meeting prior to this one. I said, I don't know that I'm going to make it by 9 o'clock. And so I was confused too. So I hadn't seen the change. So anyway, thank you for your patience in that. At this time, we'll move to item 4 on the agenda, public comments. Is there anyone here for public comment? Well, seeing none, we'll go to item number 5. Any additions or revisions to the agenda that anybody would have? Man, this can be a quick meeting, maybe. Could be. My first one's going to be a doozy. It's going to be quick, isn't it? So, yeah, no promises. Well, then let's move on to item 6, the consent agenda. One of the items in there had been brought to light this week that there was some corrections needed to be made in the minutes. I do have the minutes here that have been revised and reviewed by several of us that and told us that those corrections had been made. There were some statements just needed to be changed a little bit in that, and so they have been made. We'll go ahead and approve those minutes with the consent agenda this morning. I believe somebody had a comment in this particular thing that you wanted to make, Ron?
Yes. Since it was on record on that December 13th meeting that there were those who presented at the public hearing on the solar were from out of county, and I believe that's incorrect, even though they may have a post office that's in Mount Hope or Burton or somewhere. Their physical address is still within the county. So I just wanted to just make that statement, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hurst. Appreciate that. Any other further comments on a consent agenda? Well, hearing none, then we'll take a roll call to approve the consent agenda. Oh, somebody's got it.
I will so move.
I just did.
I'll second.
First and a second. Okay, now we'll do roll call. I got ahead of myself.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen here, Commissioner Hurst.
Oh, I didn't hear. Sorry, I didn't hear. Yes.
It's all right.
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes. Well, we all are out of order up here now in different places, so it's kind of hard to keep track of that. Consent agenda passes 4-0, and Daniel is absent today. He had other business somewhere, so we'll move on to number 7, item 7A, Law Enforcement Memorial.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for the time. I'm Steve Lutz. I'm a patrol captain for the Reno County Sheriff's Office. I'm coming before you today as a member of the Reno County Sheriff's Office in the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge number 18. The purpose of this is to ask permission to build a law enforcement memorial on the southeast corner of the Reno County Courthouse Yard. This is the area existing flagpole is in that area right now. The memorial would consist of an approximately 25-foot circular base or floor with 2 sidewalks. One of the sidewalks heading east towards Adams Street and the other one heading south towards First Avenue. Base sidewalks will be constructed of a cement or a like material. We'll have a flagpole in the center of the circle, as you can see from the pictures on the PowerPoint. And then at the point closer towards the courthouse at like a 45-degree angle from there, some type of a granite or stone monument to memorialize for the law enforcement memorial. In 1976, formal talks of a state law enforcement memorial began, and it wasn't until 1984 when legislation was obtained to place the memorial on the northeast corner of the Kansas State Capitol grounds where it remains today. Like in the state memorial, all construction funds will be privately raised. This memorial is to be gifted to the citizens of Reno County to memorialize the efforts of those law enforcement officers who gave the ultimate sacrifice to those citizens of Reno County. The seed monies to start this project come from deputies of the Reno County Sheriff's Office, whom at the time of their deaths had asked that memorials be sent to the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge number 18. What a better way to pay tribute for the families to see something good and fitting for their memorial monies to be used for. This by no means will pay for the entire project. However, we have been offered assistance by a local businessman on how to go about completing this type of project, to include how to raise the rest of the funds, and also on how to do the timeline for selecting location, obtaining all the things that we need to get this done. I know a lot of work has been done by Harlan Depew, the maintenance director, and as in the agenda item, it talks that he had contact with Kansas Historical Society to make sure its approval of building a monument or something to that type on the courthouse grounds because of the Reno County Courthouse. What I'm asking for is approval for us to do that, and I'll be open to questions if anybody has any.
Yeah. What's the timeline looking like, Officer Lutz?
I really don't know, because from this point, the next step on here was getting approval to do this. Then I'm gonna we'll have to start looking at construction personnel to start building that. We have plans from a local architect has showed us plans on what we designed. It's kind of like in 2 phases. The first phase is doing the concrete work and the flagpole. There's already electrical out there, but we'll have to move some electrical around right there at the spot.
Right.
And then the second phase is going to be designing and figuring out what kind of monument to put there and what's fitting. So I really don't have a timeline at this time.
Okay, just curious. And all this will be donated money?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
Well, I
will.
had that question from somebody this week, and I said I knew that you guys were looking
Yes.
at that. So
Yes.
Anyway, cool. All right. Any other questions from anybody?
Nope, I will motion that we approve as presented.
I'll second.
Motion approved by Mr. Weitzel and seconded by Mr. Hurst. Any other questions? Well, if not, then roll call.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 7B, courthouse furniture proposal and update on the courthouse interior improvement project.
Good morning.
Morning, Harlan.
I've got several items all crammed into one agenda here, so we'll just kind of cover them one by one. They include the furniture that you mentioned and was in the title of the agenda item, as well as a general remodel project update, and we'll go over a change order as well. But first of all, the furniture, we've purchased furniture for the first floor, second floor. That's already been completed at an earlier time. What's remaining is really and what this item is for is to consider the furniture for the 5th floor for the district attorney's office. As you know, they're moving people from the 4th floor up to the 5th floor and into the newly remodeled space here in the near future, and that's and then replacing a large portion of the furniture on the existing west side over there too. So Tom Stanton, district attorney, is here. Do you have anything you wanted to say about that? Okay. I think you have all the details in your packets, along with some nice pictures and layouts and things. So you should have a pretty good sense of what this entails. But for that item, the total cost was $134,502.55. And there will also be shelving that we need to purchase. We'll do that through our office with a different vendor at a cost not to exceed $12,000. That shelving would have the capacity of up to 1,920 boxes, and that's divided between the district court and the district attorney. So I think at that point we could go ahead and consider that item separately and take a roll call on whether that portion of this update is approved, and then we can cover the next 2 items if that works for you.
Ken, any questions about that?
Yeah, and I know when we were originally talking about this about a year ago, there was some question as to access for the court staff, because they would have to go through the district attorney's office. Has that been worked out, or?
Respectfully, I don't know where that.
You don't mind coming to the podium, Mr. Stanton? Thank you.
Respectfully, I don't know where that concern came from because it didn't come from my office. There is a back stairway that's been completed. They have full access to that that area up through the stairway without coming through my office. If they need to put boxes in, they just come to our front door. They come through the hallway and they take it back to their office or to their storage session. We were never in any way suggesting that they should not have access to that storage area through our office. So, the answer to your question is that's not an issue.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Randy, you might address where the money comes from for this. Is a continuum of the approval of the project to begin with, or?
So we had money in the general fund in 2023 for courthouse improvements, and the furniture portion for all the courthouse improvements, the 1st floor, the mezzanine and 5th floor, were all in that budget, the general fund. The money, since we didn't spend it in 2023, is being moved over to the capital equipment reserve fund, and there's more than enough money. I think there's closer to $700,000 available, so easily covers the $134,000 that's being requested by Harlan and the district attorney.
All right, thank you. Any further questions?
I would move to approve the purchase of furniture from HON Office Plus of Kansas in the amount of $134,502.55.
Is that with shelving?
Without shelving.
Without shelving, okay.
It's without. You wanted it in 2 motions, I appreciate.
You can. How would you like to do that?
I think
One's okay.
And authorize the acquiring shelving from a different vendor at a cost not to exceed $12,000.
Okay. A second? Seconded by Don Bogner. Any further comments or questions?
As I think everybody knows, I've been against the remodel from the beginning, but I do think that the district attorney does need some new furniture based on my tour of his area about a year ago, and so it may be a little bit inconsistent, but I do plan to vote yes for this, where I voted no for every other expenditure in this project. So
I think you did a good job as far as cost of that furniture with what all had to be purchased.
Well, exciting news. You may not have to use milk crates and milk stools, so that'd be a good thing. Any further comments? Not, we'll have a roll call. On that motion?
Commissioner Bugner?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes. Motion passed 4-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The second item on this, second topic on this item is just a general update on the remodel project. Ward Davis is here from Ward Davis Builders, in case you have any questions about really the next two items. But Ward's been fantastic to work with, and his crew's done a really good job of kind of working around some obstacles in a challenging situation with a historic building that's also occupied at the same time. Court proceedings going on that occasionally shut them down because of the noise and whatnot, but they've done a great job of staying focused and really, for the most part, on time. So really, first floor is complete except for the carpet replacement out in that open area, which we can't really do until we get all those document boxes moved back upstairs and cleaned out. So that will be the final portion of this. Second floor is complete, third floor is complete, fourth floor is nearly complete with just a few little details remaining. The fifth floor, framing, mechanical, drywall, the staircase, electrical, mechanical, all that's mostly complete. This week they're working on painting and actually starting to put ceilings in. So that's nearing completion up there too. It's exciting to see it come together here at the tail end. So, really, yeah, next finishing up the painting, ceilings, dropping the lighting in, and then we're really ready for carpet, and I guess windowsills still need to go in up there. As the district attorney mentioned, the asbestos in the adhesive below the tile that's under the carpet on the west side needs to be abated. And so while we tried everything we knew how to push that portion of it forward and get that carpet replaced here in January before we're ready to do the east side, that just really wasn't a workable solution for the district attorney to move all his people at the same time into really little small pockets all over the building. So we've made the decision to wait and do that after the east side is completed. So yeah, and then once the timeline right now is looking at carpet or finishing up the east offices in the newly remodeled space. What was that about?
End of February, first week of
Yeah,
March.
about the end of February. And then from there move straight into the west side offices and get that carpet replaced. And then as soon as that's done, we can hop down and knock out that first floor. So that would put completion in the middle of May, middle of April for substantial completion. And then if there's any final details, final completion, middle of May. That extends the contract date by 62 days. And that moves me on to the third item, which is a change order. You have attached to this item in your packet a detailed breakdown of that. And if you take a look at that, there really weren't any large change orders that came up throughout this project. Numerous little small things, and then a lot of things that Ward just did and didn't do a change order, but little things that came up that weren't necessarily in the spec or whatever. So he's worked with us really well on that. But rather than submit multiple change orders along the way for just little small ones, we've just kind of lumped them all together in one here as we're getting closer to the end of the project. Not really expecting any additional ones to come through from here on out. The total of those items comes to $24,756, and then included in that would be a time extension on the contract of 62 days. The architect is currently putting all of that onto a formal AIA document, and that's not ready for us yet, so that's why it's not included as one of the items for action today. But I think Randy's intent was to review this today with you guys, and if you have any questions or whatever, Ward's here to be able to answer those, or myself, and then probably at the next meeting, the formal change order would be in the consent agenda. So, any questions?
I don't think so. Thank
Okay.
you, Harlan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the update. Appreciate all the hard work, Mr. Davis. Thank you. So if you haven't went up and toured the back stairway and some of that, it'd be worth your time going up and looking. That was quite a big project up there. Yeah, it was a big project, yeah. Yeah, they have. Randy, do you have?
No, I didn't have any. That Ward Davis has been great to work with. This has been a good project, so we appreciate him working around some of the different departments needing to delay things, but we appreciate him and his crew and subcontractors working with us.
So, no action taken here? No, not this time. Next one, okay. Well, moving on to 7C, we have a annual report from the Department of Aging and Public Transportation.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Barbara Lillyhorn. I am the Director of the Department of Aging and Public Transportation. I don't have a great deal to add to my written report, but I did want to talk to you once again about our bus situation. And I know that in the report I've indicated that we have 6 orders on in place right now, which is, it's good. Those orders will be filled in the order in which the grant was awarded. So we expect to receive 2 buses yet in 2024, and possibly more of the buses that we have on order. What happened was that when all of the bus orders got canceled during COVID, then a lot of the manufacturing places where we used, they were not able to fill the orders. And so everyone in Kansas ordered their buses from Diamond Coach out of Oswego. And so they've been inundated with all of the orders from Kansas. So we don't know, how long it will take them to get them done. They were projecting that they would begin manufacturing the orders that were placed in May at the end of December. We're not allowed to contact them, and so we don't have any updates as to whether or not that's actually happened. But overall, the picture is much clearer than it was the last time I spoke to you as far as how this was going to go forward. We are encumbering the funds each year because we do plan every year to get buses, and we encumber those funds as we go along. So the money for those buses is encumbered. However, the cost of the buses has nearly doubled. And when we plan for our budget, we base it on the costs that we know at that time. And so the cost in 2021 was a lot less than it ends up to be. KDOT is being as generous as they can be in that they changed the ratio for how much they're paying. So all of the buses that were awarded to Reno County in grant year 2021 will be at a 90-10 partnership, which is good because I believe that we will have enough money that we had actually budgeted based on the first projections at a lower cost. So in 2022, we didn't have contracts to work with, so we encumbered the money that we could, and then the same thing happened in 2023. But now we actually do have purchase orders available so that we can look at those numbers and make sure that we're doing okay. One of the things that happened in grant year, this is always confusing because it's fiscal year 2023 for Reno County, but it's grant year 2024. So I'm going to be using those numbers, and it may be a little bit confusing. But the money the bus award that we received in grant year 2024, I had written for 3 buses, and we were awarded 1. And so based on that and the money that I had in the budget, we should have enough to meet our match. So it's a little bit arbitrary at this time, but things are looking really good. Going forward and knowing the cost of buses as we go forward, I pulled the document that we had in our grant, which was submitted in November. At that time, they were projecting the base cost at $130,000. And that is significantly more than we've had in the past. And by the time you add in all of the things that we feel are necessary to finish the bus, that cost comes up to $153,520 for 1 unit. And in the past, prior to COVID, we were ordering buses for about $78,000. So they've pretty much doubled. But that's the world we live in today. So we will be ordering probably less buses as we go forward. And writing for as many as we can, but then never knowing whether or not we'll actually receive that from KDOT, because as I mentioned earlier, there are transits all over Kansas that we're doing delayed, and they have delayed as long as they can, and they truly have run their buses to the point where they have to be replaced. Our CAT's been very fortunate in that we've been on a rotation basis, so our fleet's in good shape, and we have an excellent automotive crew that keeps them in very good condition. Another thing that has happened is that if we have failures, KDOT has been able to help with the repairs. Every time we have a bus leave the fleet, and we had one sell in December, that bus sold for $17,000. We as a transit in Reno County, we're allowed to keep the first $5,000 and 20% of the amount over that. So we do get a little bit back. But KDOT puts that money that goes back to them into a repair fund. So when we have something major happen as a transit, we can ask for that repair to be paid for. And we were the recipient of 2 really big things last fall. We had a transmission go out, and we also had an engine go, and those were paid for through that fund. So not at the engine was paid at 100%. The transmission we paid 30%. So they're trying to work as best they can to keep the buses rolling out there. The other thing that's happened is that we have operated the buses longer than we ever have in the past, and that's given us a better idea of how those engines are going to stand up over time, and so we have a better picture of that. We were always really leery of going much over 150,000 miles with them because of all the idle time that happens on the engine. But they've stood up pretty good, so we're happy about that. But anyway, I just wanted to give you that update and let you know where we are with that. So.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for Barbara or comments? Hey, these buses, Barbara, they're replacement buses for the ones you currently have, correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
thank you.
mhm.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for your report. Moving to item 8A, monthly reports. Oh, you got some.
I was just curious, I see Mr. Johnson here. I didn't know whether he was from emergency EMT services from the hospital.
He'll be in the exec session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's going to
All right,
meet
thank
with us later, so,
Good enough.
yeah. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I should have said something earlier.
Okay, monthly reports in the packet. Reports from Human Resources, Information Technology, Maintenance, Public Works, Solid Waste, Treasurer, and Youth Services. Any questions on anything that was in the reports? Okay. The other things I had in my report are, just wanted to remind the commissioner, let you know that on the February 28th commission meeting, do audits. Commissioner Weisel forgot to point to me, sorry. For the sub-recipients of like the United Way, Interface, SCED, they'll probably be talking with each of those groups and then meeting with Leslie and I believe tomorrow, just to kind of see how things are going with our ARPA funds. But we will need to, sometime early part of this year, find out, get reports from all the agencies to see if the money is going to be still allocated properly and going to be able to be spent by the end of 2026.
Do you have any figures currently on where we're at with that, with the agency using it on their spend down on that?
We just
curious.
We just filed a report 2 days ago, yesterday, for our quarterly report to the U.S. Treasury. It would have been through December, but I don't have those in front of me. But there are some agencies that are spending well, and then there's a couple that we haven't even started. I guess we've started the work, but the money hasn't. There's no agreements, and one of those is, or two of them, community college and the hospital, on projects we know are going to be taken care of and will be done this year. We just still need to move forward with the agreement so that we can start spending the money.
Thank you, Randy.
Commissioner.
Yeah, Commissioners, I just want to let you know, on the sanitation code update project, this kind of happened relatively after the last meeting. KDHE did return it to us without changing anything. I think they found one typo that had made it through, but they didn't make any actual changes. So last Friday it was published. The process now is to do what they call a public hearing on it. That's scheduled for the meeting on February 28th. So the second meeting in February, it'll come for public hearing. The statute just requires the commissioners to, any public comments can be made about it, and then following that, you guys can just choose to adopt the new sanitation code. I believe it's up on the website now. Is that right, San? Do we have it up? Yeah. So if anyone from the public would like to look at the new code, it's available on the website for someone to look at, and we'll try and complete that project in February.
Fantastic. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll move to item 8A, or at 9 rather, 9A, County Commission Reports. Anybody got anything to report on?
You want me to start?
Sure, go ahead, Ron.
It's been a busy 2 weeks. I did attend the Kansas Association of Counties Local Government Day in Topeka, and came away from that with the thought that the flat tax probably won't be overridden, the governor's veto. It's not set in stone yet because they haven't voted on it, but that was the feelings that I came away with after talking to some of our representatives. A really good meeting that afternoon with the Kansas Association of Counties meetings that they had up there, and Dr. Bill Clifford, representative from Finney County, spent a lot of time talking about different bills, as well as making comments and answering a lot of questions that were thrown at him from the people that were there. And his thought that there would be, the reason the state allocated $1 million or better for the presidential primary was the thought that being towards the end of the primary season, that it was, since it was a winner take all, that might attract some presidential candidates here if it was a close situation. So that was the thought I gathered from that. And he thought there might be several new representatives next year. So that took care of that meeting. It was very, very positive. Got a chance to visit with and see several of our representatives from the county. I attended a SCED meeting last week, and doing pretty well. They're pretty stable financially. And the resurgence program, there's one house done. Of course, it's you've seen it advertised and for sale. And they'll finish another house in about 6 to 8 weeks. And there's a couple of 504 loans that they're doing that will be completed maybe in the first quarter, maybe at least by the third quarter, and have some others involved in potential 504 loans. These are the larger loans than microloans. They can go well over $5 million at times. But attended the Southwest Bricktown meeting Saturday morning, and Mary Grace was there also, and it was very interesting, and what they're planning on doing and what needs to be done in that area and what they're thinking about. And attended Friday the K96 corridor meeting, and Randy was there, and will you have any comments regarding that or not? But
I don't.
okay, and let's see, care of that. I did attend the Extension Council meeting the other night, and to get an idea of what they were looking at, to get some more information on the Extension Council, and presented a little bit to them. So, guess that's it.
Anyone else? Don?
We had an invitation from the Quad County group to the west of us here and the main discussion topic there for them was the water issues with Quivira and how all this is panning out. We may have a small part of our county that might be affected, but the biggest thing I came away with there is the fact that some laws were pointed out that they're using to help them in their fight against this. Well, not necessarily against it, but arriving at a mutual understanding. I'll put it that way. They quoted several laws. Cities have had those laws in effect for them to participate with both state and federal government agencies. In doing economic work in their counties and how did it affect their counties. Boards of county commissioners got the same opportunities in other laws several years after the cities had them. But what I came up with mostly was that if we handle ourselves properly and hold certain meetings properly, put some goals or our intention for what we expect to happen for our citizens in Reno County, if some other project like power lines, new roads, anything like that, they've got to consider our thoughts on it by law. So we can call a meeting, they went through a series of things that we can do personally that might change or enhance what happens in Reno County for the benefit of Reno County and its citizens. Now, I was sitting beside Patrick, and he's the lawyer, and he knows what the numbers mean, and he knows the law, and I saw him writing them down. So that's his expertise, and we'll use it. But probably one of the best things we've done recently to help us in having power in some of these things was the 30 by 30 resolution that we put forward, because we've stated what we want to happen, certain things we feel should happen for the citizens of Reno County and for their protections and stuff. We may, if we really want to, right now I don't see any big things that is going to help us or hurt us with this, but in the future, we might start doing some planning with Patrick and get ourselves in a position so that if certain things come to our county, we have more of a say, because they have given us the say. We're not changing any laws, but the laws say we have to should be consulted. So at least you'd have your say. They're the final determination, but you'd have input. And there's a few things we probably ought to go forward with, in my mind, to ensure that we would have that say for the citizens of Reno County. Patrick, like I say, is the lawyer. He knows the laws. He would have a better understanding of it than I do. I did ask the people who are bringing these things forward to the county commissions. Several counties have joined their organization. I did ask if we should decide or want to have that information and their help, what it would cost us. And it's a membership fee of about $5,000 a year at this point. It'll be something for discussion and thought later on, but just because of if we set things up right, we'd have more say. I think it deserves some time and looking into. Thank you.
Something you want to comment on, Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, the couple of things I would add to what Commissioner Bogner said would just be, it was put on by the Kansas Natural Resource Coalition, and I guess if commissioners want to research that on your own, whether or not to belong to that, that's the organization that provided the information. Another one of my clients that I work with is a member of that and has gotten some benefit. It was in Stafford because a groundwater district in Stafford County is in a conflict with the federal agency of Fish and Wildlife. And so what they were discussing was how county government can interact with federal agencies. So, and there are some things I learned. There are some different ways of thinking about it that were interesting. I'm still kind of processing exactly how it is. And Reno County, I don't believe we have a lot of interaction with federal agencies, but we do, of course, have some. And I think that what they were suggesting was getting some policies in place early so that you don't find yourself in the position Stafford County's at, where they didn't have anything, they did not have that step taken. And so when they suddenly had a conflict with a federal agency, they really weren't. Now they're catching up. So that it was really good. It was worth attending. It was interesting. The Quivira National Wildlife Refuge looks to me like it goes about it. It is maybe one section or a very small amount into Reno County, but it does touch us. I don't know if that groundwater district goes into Reno County or it just comes very close. So the immediate issue isn't a huge impact for Reno County, but the broader just issue of how to interact with a federal agency was really interesting.
What would, Patrick, you don't mind me asking, put you on the spot, but what would be some possible conflicts federals would come in and do they give examples or?
Well, and again, it's a huge issue in western states where like the Federal Bureau of Land Management has a lot of acreage. I'm not exactly sure, but that's what I'm processing is exactly where, what to anticipate and make sure there aren't unintended consequences. But federal agencies are required by their laws to consider local government impact. Really what we did with the position of local government. So really when we did our 30 by 30 resolution, one thing we did at the end was we sent it to the Department of the Interior because they are under their laws, they're required under their organization to consider local impacts. If they were ever to do something federally in Reno County, they're supposed to at least consider it. What this meeting was about was trying to, if you have a serious issue with a federal government agency, how to interact with them, schedule meetings like Commissioner Boger said, and just kind of lay down your policy because they're required to at least consider it. The ultimate question is who has the final authority, and that may not be ours, but there are things that Reno County could do to just say, hey, if a federal agency wanted to do a new federal program, they need to at least come to the table with us and discuss it first. And that was the main upshot of the meeting.
Yeah, go ahead.
A point that should be made in that long line of statutes. After the feds did it, the states all got on board, and the state of Kansas did get on board later at that date when several other states. So it also includes departments with the state of Kansas, not only the feds. It came about later, but we, like Patrick said, probably the feds not so much unless there's some federal highway or some crazy thing going to happen. But I can see where it'd be more helpful with the state end. We'd probably have a lot more to do with the state than we would with the feds, but it's hard to say what might come down the pike. Nobody knows what's coming tomorrow.
Is that water district considered what they call a Big Bend? Because Big Bend starts just west of Arlington, so it's downstream. So
I honestly don't know what their specific issues are. I know it's a pretty major water district, and Stafford has a lot of really good irrigated ground because of it that's in danger.
The big thing there is it's with that Rattlesnake Creek deal, and I personally felt that maybe they had worked out a pretty good deal, but then a third party brought a suit in that might have screwed up just the perfect deal that was already happening. They had an agreement, and then a third party comes in and throws themselves into the middle of the fray, and there's probably some frustration on both sides from what I heard, but that's just an observation from one guy. But they've been working on this thing a long time, and what it amounts to is Wildlife and Parks says their senior right is being infringed upon, and the way Kansas water laws are, it first on, last off, and but they had worked out a compromise, I thought, and then this third party come in, and there's suddenly a big monkey wrench in it again. So, but I'm far away from it, and I'm no expert on it, that's for sure. But you just kind of read and gather what's happening. But like I said, I don't know how much this is affecting us, and Patrick said it. The big thing is how we position ourselves for the future, for what may become down the line to us, and we would maybe nothing, but it doesn't take much to position yourself.
Thank you, Commissioner Bogner. Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Weitzel?
Yeah, so busy couple of weeks for myself as well. I did want to give a shout out to the people that took care of the roads when we had all that snow. It was so cold that it was not an easy thing to do, because the salt just doesn't work when it's that cold to melt the ice. And so, I think, based on my knowledge in that area, that the county and the city did an excellent job with what they had to work with. It was a very, very difficult situation for them to be in, and the roads were open. So I want to thank everybody there. Randy and myself this morning attended the State of the City address, and kind of the theme was cooperation. And I think there's a lot more cooperation now between the city and the county, the city of Hutchinson, and then some of the surrounding cities now, and there has been in the past. And I think there's a lot of positive things coming out of that. And so I just want to thank the leadership at the the city of Hutchinson for, I think, doing some very positive things moving forward, just that are going to benefit a lot of people in Reno County. So I've just been very impressed here recently with the city, and that hasn't always been the case. So I did want to thank them. And then lastly, the Kansas GOP state meeting was this past week, and Reno County was very well represented with Republicans there. I'm an alternate delegate, and of the 156 or so elected delegates, 11 of them are from Reno County. So Reno County really does have an active group that represents to try and fight for smaller government and less taxes and less regulations on a state level as far as the party goes. And I think there's some very positive things coming out of that. And so I just wanted to let my constituents know, yes, we are working not only here in the county and with our elected representatives at the state, but also the Republican Party at the state level is working as well to keep government where it should be, smaller and out of our way. So that's what I've gotten. So thank you for the ability to serve in this position.
Thank you, Commissioner Weitzel. I'm just going to end mine there. Everybody's covered some of mine here and there, so that's fine. I appreciate your comments. At this time, I think we'll move, if there's no further comments, we're going to do an executive session. Following that, there'll be an adjournment. I believe we're probably just enough of us that's going to stay in this room, maybe. I'll read that order. I move that the board recess into executive session for 30 minutes until 10:50 or 10:49, whichever it looks like. 5-minute break. Oh, you want to do a 5-minute break? Okay. Okay, we can do that. Well, and let's do it at 10:30 to 11. That'll work. With the county counselor, county administrator, Dave Johnson from Reno County EMS, maintenance director Harlan Depew, for the subject of preliminary discussions related to the acquisition of real property, and with the justification of executive session being primarily discussions relating to the acquisition of real property. So at this time, we'll take a break, and at 10:30, we'll do the executive session. Yes. Oh.
I'll second.
All right. Ready for roll call? All right.
Excuse me, Commissioner Bogner?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.